This next one sounds really great. It's called, How Do I Know I'm Producing Good Content? G'day, Jen and Travis. Please have Jen read this one. Well, Jen's not here, Isaac, so I'm sorry. Long-time listener, first-time emailer. Isaac from Australia here, and over the last 7 months, I've been consistently uploading to YouTube with now 24 long-form videos. Our channel is Come See With Us, and it is a travel channel based on mine and my partner's full-time travels and ventures across Australia in our car and caravan. I feel as though we have improved a lot from where we started from, however, the growth has really slowed. I am worried I might be changing too much each video and therefore struggle to connect with our audience. I also worry, as I don't know what good content is, I might be changing aspects of what we do that is good content and people enjoy. How do I know what I am producing is good and should be continued? This is a great question because it's something that I came across early in my YouTube creation career, trying to figure out what people liked and what they didn't like without looking at the comments. And I did figure something out, but I would love to hear what you think one solution is this. How do people know if they're making good content?
So my first instinct when I hear that they've been doing this now for, what was it, a year and a half, 24 videos, was that right? Something along those lines. It does suggest that they have a certain level of experience now. They've learned enough about the process of making content, and it sounds like they very much love YouTube, which is great. What I suspect they might be doing, but I could be wrong, is that they're spending too much time creating and not enough time potentially researching their market, because I feel as if there are tons of examples of van life, but there are so many channels that have done this type of thing in certainly different countries, maybe in Australia as well. I would recommend some research into those channels. So watching their content, it's a very easy thing to do. Sort these channels by most popular and see which are their most popular videos, and you can essentially remix those, remake them in your own voice style, but it has a similar type of packaging, but it's fresh and new because it's you in 2025 in Australia. There's going to be different things that you can talk about, especially from a relationship point of view, because every relationship and personality is different on YouTube. That's the thing I'm looking at, Travis, in that maybe, and I'm guilty of this myself, of just sticking my head in the YouTube sand and create, getting on a hamster wheel and not stepping off for a moment to see what's happening in my niche and topic.
I agree. I'll tell you what I did back in the day and the finding that I had back the first year that I was doing content. And this is a good indication. Is it the thing you have to do every single time? No, not necessarily, but it helped me. I'm a huge fan of the retention graph here on YouTube, being able to watch your audience retention and see when they leave and when they're watching more content. And early on, when I was first kind of understanding what the graph did and what it meant, I wanted to understand what people were enjoying. Now, it would be great if YouTube could give us a little bit more insight into some of the other, the things that they evaluate as people enjoying content, like the likes and stuff like that, and when people subscribe and stuff. But here's what I did learn. So I remember watching one of my videos and I remember thinking, okay, why are certain people dropping off at certain points in the video? Because you can see the line kind of going up and down and stuff during retention graph stuff. And I noticed that whenever I was on screen with, talking about something, it was kind of fine. And then I would put B-roll on and that was fine. But if I put B-roll on for too long, the retention would go down. But if I was on screen too long, the retention would go down. So I started to play around with like how long I would have B-roll up versus how long my face would be up versus what I was talking about in those moments. If I was just talking about something irrelevant, like I'd pay attention to that part of the retention graph and thinking, okay, am I saying something that's boring people that has nothing to do with the reason that they came here?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Or am I really onto something at this very moment and I need them to look into my eyes and see that, hey, what I'm telling you right now is the point that you came to watch this video. And those were the times when I noticed that there was a lot of people staying or sometimes even rewinding back to what I said. So to answer this person's question, one of the things you can do is to look at some of your more successful videos and look at the retention graph and see where people are leaving, which is the drop of the graph, how it goes down. And then when people are maybe rewinding to segments, which are little bumps. And the cool thing about this is it does give you an indication of what people kind of were interested in or enjoyed, and then you can be like a detective and try to figure out what it was, what it made them rewind. So you see the bump in some of the things that usually is when people rewind. It's not all the ways because you said something so impactful. Sometimes it's because they thought they heard you say something or thought they saw something and they rewound. So I started doing that too. I started putting little things in videos where I would want people to rewind to listen or see something that they thought they heard or saw, and it worked, right? People will go back and say like, did he have a pancake on his head during that last episode? I don't know. what was that? Yeah, it was the thing. So that's where I get a lot of my answers for stuff like that. If I figure out that people are watching this part of the video, that means that's the quote good content, or at the very least something that gets their interest. You also can look at the thing that really, it's funny when we talk about all these different analytics, and Top Ray over at YouTube says the best analytic is impressions. Views. And the reason for this is impressions specifically take all of the different signals from YouTube that they get from the viewer and says, this is good, let's give more of this to more people. If it's not getting good signals, then typically your impressions go down. And I know that's like a chicken and the egg, because we're chasing impressions to get views, so we want to do something that works, but I'm saying that the answer is actually impressions, whether or not your content is good, which is a circular logic, but it unfortunately is kind of the answer. So look at your attention graphs, look at the topics that are going off in your particular niche, and think about the unique challenges that you have going around Australia and kind of doing all these cool things, like how do you brush your teeth when you're just out in the middle of nowhere? Maybe it's in your caravan, like where do you go to the bathroom? Like all these things that would be super simplistic ideas, but you probably don't even think of them because you're so used to it, but we don't necessarily know that.
How do you survive 20 minutes out of any Australian city in Australia? Because I just hear that it's death everywhere.
They have the world's most poisonous snake, I believe, and the world's loudest insect.
Also, Travis, another thing that I got from your previous response there was pancake memes of Travis. Can we have some for next episode, please, that we can share for our video watchers?
Do you remember the old meme with the rabbit with the pancake on its head?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Anyway, so all that to say, how do you know if you're creating good content? You'll see subscribers grow, you'll see views go up, you'll see all of these things. But what they said was their growth has slowed. Now, there's another aspect of this that we need to kind of quickly talk about, which is how some channels will have a good bit of a start off, and then it kind of plateaus or even sometimes goes down. There's a lot of reasons, a lot of potential reasons for this. Number one, if you have unique content and it starts to take off and it starts to catch on to certain groups of people, YouTube will going to continue to share that across the people that are there. But it could also be that a total addressable market for that type of viewer is very small, or at the very least, the connecting tissue between that group of people and the next is kind of harder for YouTube to find. So it kind of saturates that out, and you're starting to talk to just this little group of people over and over and over again. So how do you expand out into those other ones? You got to think about some topics and some different scenarios that you're doing really big kind of things. So you could do something like traveling the next couple of days using only $5 for 3 days, and then showing the survival part of that, or going to a local supermarket and only buying green things, or whatever the case may be. Make it fun, make it something that's not just interesting to people who are into like van life or stuff like that, but that are just interesting. It doesn't have to be those exact things. To be clear, I'm not asking you to do a Mr. Beast channel. I'm just saying, think outside the box. Think about something that's a little bit, has a larger interest behind it for people that could just randomly watch a video and then become in love with you and your journey. So definitely put your own personality in it as well. What would yours be, Rob?
Well, my own personality.
Yeah, what would you do if you had to do this? You're an Australian caravaner.
I think it would create a good amount of conflict if it was a POM. That's a bit of a slang way described as POMs in Australia. Kind of a slang word for us. So like a POM's impression of traveling around Australia, where I would joke about everything trying to kill me and how Australia is the size of the US almost, and nobody lives in it. So you're just traveling for weeks on end and you don't encounter anybody. Off the top of my head.
So if you're looking for a channel just like this, I'm sure he'll make one. Make sure you click the link below to watch more videos just like this, and we'll see you in the next one.